Welcome back to the High Vibe Honey podcast, where high vibe, heart led women come to fall deeply in love with life, love, and leadership. I'm Katie Rogers, feminine embodiment, relationship, and intimacy coach for the woman who's done choosing between love and success. She gets to have it all. This is a sanctuary, a soft place to land, and a sacred space to rise. Here we don't bypass the shadows, we alchemize them. We slay shame, reclaim pleasure as power, and remember what it means to come home to ourselves. You'll hear real conversations with women who are leading with both fire and feeling, letting it all land instead of holding it all together. Because you weren't meant to perform your wholeness, you were meant to feel it. And babe, it all gets to be pleasurable for you too. Let's begin. So today's guest is a woman who is a pure frequency, an artist of life, a mystic of embodiment, and a soul activator for multidimensional women who's ready to reclaim their full expression. Debbie Lim is a soul purpose activator and creative rewilding guide for embodied light leaders. She's here for the sacred rebels, the unicorns, the way showers, and the magical women who know they're here to lead something bigger, but is still learning how to not hold it all. After leaving behind burnout, bankruptcy, chronic pain, and a thriving commercial photography business, Debbie stepped into a new identity, one rooted in creativity, energy healing, feminine energetics, and 5D abundance. Through her signature work, she helps spiritual entrepreneurs take the body with them on their essential pathway. Her work fuses high frequency strategy with sacred embodiment and energetic sovereignty, and the result is nothing short of cosmic. Debbie, welcome to the High Vibe Honey podcast. Debbie, it is such a pleasure to have you here. Um, I've been really drawn to your energy, the way you speak about creativity, the body, business, and living as kind of this breathing ecosystem. But before we dive into the magic of everything that you have to offer us, and I'm so excited for this conversation, do you want to guide us through a little bit more about who you are in this season of your life and kind of what led you to get to this space?
Absolutely, I would love to. Firstly, thank you so much for having me here. It's so delicious to connect with other high vibe honeys, weaving magic in the world. And likewise, yeah, your work is amazing and beautiful. So I am Deb from Debbie Lim Creative, and this season of my life, if I had to distill it right down, I help women to become more fully expressed in their business. I am a spiritual business coach and a creative rewilding guide, is what I love to call it. I run retreats, coaching programs, and yeah, help women to really step into their fullest expression in their light leadership. So I work with a lot of other magical humans, and what I find over and over again is no matter who we are or where we come from, it feels like and seems like visibility is our biggest wound. And like many of my clients, it's been my own journey to, walk through life to become fully expressed, or on that journey to feeling safe in the body to actually be who our soul chose us to be when we signed up for this earth mission. And so there's been so many experiences in my life which would probably point me in the opposite direction. Experiences of being shut down, experiences of failure, experiences of persecution and the witch wound, all of this kind of stuff. But I truly believe that life is always gifting us all of these experiences so that we can switch on the magic little key codes that we are then here to share with the world. So that has been the journey. It's been, at the moment, what I'm hearing is like it's about 13 years that it's taken me to get to the woman that I am today. Um, and really what I'm here for is freedom. I'm here for freedom. I'm here to help other women rise, and particularly those that are here seeding the new earth. So, new earth consciousness to me is really just a return to love, a return to harmony, and a return to our creative essence, because that's actually why we're here. We've been in a really dense kind of experience of life as humans for many, many thousands of years, but ultimately we are born of creative essence. Creative energy is who we are at our core. And we've just kind of forgotten that over time. And life has been about survival, it's been about struggle.
Yeah.
And so for me, I had a big experience with burnout, which I'll share. And so it's been a really deep journey to come back home to the physical body and reconnect with creativity, not in terms of making art, although I am an artist, but
Yeah.
to actually remember that that's our power, that we are the master creators of our world and we're actually in full control of that. And what a gift that is, not a burden of responsibility. So, yeah, as I was sharing with you before, there's kind of many different origin stories I could take you on. Um, but, Katie and I have just come back from this amazing event where we were
Yes.
in person that required us to, well, didn't require us, we were invited to dress up, to step
Yeah.
into a new identity and to really let our self-expression go wild. And oh my gosh, what a permission slip that was. I
Yeah.
just needed that invitation. It was almost like it made me think like, where in my life did I switch this off? I love to dress up. I went to art school and did a Bachelor of Visual Arts and Photography, and I was always making things. I used to sew my own clothes. I used to cut and dye my own hair. I used to wear like the most
Wow.
crazy makeup. I remember my tutor said, Debbie, you should write a book on this one day. And I was like, on what? She's like, you something. But, I was wildly expressed, wildly creative. And, then life happens and there's various pieces to that. But there was two really big catalytic points for me where I kind of was this wildly expressed, brightly colored chameleon and felt like kind of a lights went out. And I kind of put myself back in the box and kind of stuffed
Mm.
myself down and went, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't be that version of me. Maybe that's too much. Um, Oops, and so I'm sure people will resonate with these experiences where you were in your full power, you were in your full voice, you were shining, you believed you were unstoppable, and then something happened, and then we decide that that's it then, and we go and live our life from that one moment. So
Yeah.
these are the kinds of things that I help women clear through their energy field and the energy system, because we all have these experiences, whether we remember them in this lifetime, we've definitely had them
Yeah.
in others, and the body remembers, the bones remember. And so I've been really lucky to learn some amazing modalities that work with the bones, and I'll talk more about that further on as well.
I'm
But really
so
for
curious to learn more about that. Yeah.
it's so amazing. And it's come out of here in New Zealand too, which is really cool. So it was, oh, I don't even know what year it was. This is like when trauma has happened, we tend to make it go all fuzzy and disappear. But I was in my early 30s, so that would be about 17 years ago. Um, I was in a business with my parents and I was really in my full expression. I was like, we can do this. We'd had a cafe, we'd expanded it into this bar restaurant that was really popular in New Zealand at the time. Um, I got to be really creative in those businesses. I designed all the menus and, it was amazing. I loved dressing up for work every day. I had this power haircut, the fringe and everything. I was like, we're going to be so successful in this. It's all, all the confidence, all the confidence. I loved being 30. So good. All the confidence, but not much wisdom, maybe. I guess. And so let's just say there was the recession around that time where, a lot of people worldwide suffered in that space. It was going really well. It was amazing. And then overnight, it wasn't going at all, almost.
Mm.
And we had massive amounts of borrowing and things tied up in that. So yeah, there came a day where the financial controller of the business showed me the books because I was really the front end person. And I was like, oh my gosh, we actually need to shut the door like now, today. Like we were there ready for work. Like everyone was coming, 20 or more
Yeah.
staff. And it was just one of those like worst moments of my life where, like a tower moment where I literally felt my whole legs are tingling, felt like the whole world was crumbling in that moment. Because what I didn't realize, I suppose, at that time is that my whole identity was as that person. I was like kind of a
Hmm.
public figure in the town. I didn't have any other interests or life outside of it. I used to work 80 hours a week. That's all I did. And it
Yeah.
was like my source of income, and also I'd warped my, like, this is my identity, it's who I am. So, when
Yeah.
we're on the right track, life will life will rip the rug out from under us and get us onto the right track. But really, does that ever feel good? Really, is that ever like in the moment? I'm so glad this is happening right now.
Mm.
So for me, there was just so much shame in that, so much failure, so much like the financial, I thought I was financially ruined. Like, how was I going to survive? And I had to tell everybody, and the whole town was watching, and it was just awful. It was just
Yeah.
awful. Remember sort of turning the key in the lock and just feeling kind of like the whole world went grey, like all the
Mm.
color, the magic, the life, the aliveness. I mean, I was a big party girl back then too, so that identity went as well. So it was almost like 10 years worth of maybe AA also in a moment going, you're not going to do that and that anymore and that anymore and that anymore. Like, thank you, universe. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was just that huge moment of like, oh my goodness. And then if we sort of fast forward, I basically just went into hiding. I stayed home. I was also pregnant with my first baby, and that wasn't exactly planned, but we were very happy for that to be happening. But it was kind of like, oh my gosh, and I don't really feel in a great headspace right now, or a financial great space, or any kind of great space to be bringing human into the world. So that was just a really big compounding factor. And then there was postnatal depression,
Yeah.
and just me being me was just like, my coping mechanism was just carry on, toughen up,
Mm.
and make yourself busy. And it was
Yeah.
almost like the busyness is another way of helping me just kind of disappear. Because, and I see this a lot when I help women reclaim their sovereign energy, is they're often scattering their energy in 1,000 different directions, because that dilutes us, right? That stops us from doing the
Yeah.
one thing that really lights us up. So that was huge. And then motherhood was another part. It's almost like, even though I had been this art school chick and this wildly expressed woman and this creative being, there's something in our whole body system, or our subconscious programming from the first 7 years of life, or 13, however long you want to put it, where you've absorbed exactly what motherhood means from your environment. And I was like, well, um, this means you just have to work really hard, sacrifice yourself for your family. You come
Yeah.
last, all of these things. And so
Mm.
that was I'd love to say that I was in the joy of, yay, I've got a new baby and it's all wow. But for so many women, that's just not the case. And,
Yeah.
in our Western society, even with all our beautiful families around us, yeah. I don't know. There's still no answer to that one. Still nobody has written the book on exactly how to do parenting, just although I tried to control it by reading all the books, and that was another another big
Yeah, you're
mistake.
like, oh, this is the same
Don't
pattern,
operate.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not, the baby's not doing what the book said. It's been another one.
Yeah. This one's
Uh,
broken.
yeah. So fast forward a little bit more, life got a little bit brighter. Things moved on. I had another beautiful child, and like life looked really, really good on the outside. I got my health and fitness back. I was working at the gym as a fitness instructor. I had my photography business, and everything looked great, right?
Yeah.
But every time I stopped moving, my body was just filled with pain, like
Mm.
roaming pain, stabbing pains, like just all the time. And I was like, why am I in so much pain? But I
Yeah.
didn't realize it very loudly. I was like, this is curious. I'll just keep moving. So I was kind of in that rushing woman syndrome. What I didn't realize that I had really bad adrenal fatigue, and was just relying on coffee and busyness. And if I just keep going, and if I just keep going, and I didn't realize that I was just actually living on adrenaline. And
Yes.
yeah, right. So, because we're just like, and people celebrate you. This is the thing, is like our culture celebrates us. Like, oh, you do so
Yeah.
many the committees, and I was doing all these amazing things, and I looked gym hot and gym ready. So they're like, you're amazing. And I was
Mm.
like, every time someone said that to me, I felt bad on the inside. I was like, that's a weird, curious response that I have too.
Yeah.
So clearly I don't feel amazing. Um, and then it took like the body completely kind of blowing out. So there was a bit of an emotional incident undertone, which resulted in kind of like a seizure. Like Boxing Day, I
Oh,
woke up cold sweat on the floor. Um, and it was like I'd lost all my life force energy. And again, life is just like, you cannot keep pushing through, Debbie.
yes.
Like
Yeah.
it's just take her completely off your feet. I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? So that's kind of the
Yeah.
start of spiritual awakening, right? And then things, mindset started to shift and awareness is starting to drop in. It's like, hmm, I don't think I actually want to be this version of me. What else is there, right? And then the journey begins. My kids had gut health issues, so it started with kind of naturopaths and cleaning up the diet, and then essential oils was amazing as a support for us to find solutions. What I didn't realize probably at that time was how much those were really helping me come back to my body, come back to something natural, to the earth, and to start to nourish the nervous system and shed some of the emotional and spiritual things that essential oils will help you move without kind of being consciously aware of it.
Mm.
Ah, then we thought both of us could do with a lifestyle change. So, again, like when you're not in the world of personal transformation and you don't know what that is, like I don't think at that time I even really knew those things existed. I thought a life coach was someone that was just like, "Yay, go you! Yeah, like I'm in your corner." I didn't realize that we're all amazing magical magicians with like a million different modalities, and that we help her to,
Yeah.
to reveal the deepest layers of what's blocking us that we
Mm.
didn't even know. I had no
And,
idea that
and
was.
there are different kinds of life coaches in this world, and some of them are like that.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure.
yeah,
I'm true
some of
that,
them are
right?
20-year-old life coaches in Bali who just chew on. But yes, there is a lot more to it than certainly what I thought a
Imagining,
life coach was. Back when I was
yeah,
a lawyer, thinking that like a life coach was just such a stupid job, and here I am today.
look at me like, what's that? Um, so we both of us were feeling a bit like, there's just something about, um, you know, life at the moment that feels slightly off. So we'll move. So we'll move. So we went on this huge move. When you try and like we just don't know what the problems are, so we'll just move away from them. But of course they come with you.
Yes, yeah.
As happens. And so we moved to this really magical place in New Zealand by the beach, and that was incredible. I'm giving you this the long version, not the short version, but I don't know how to summarize it. Anyway, let's just say that
We're
was
in
a
for the ride now, Debbie. Let's go.
very activating place for me as well. Like we're right by the ocean. It's on ancient Lemuria. The whole underground is just like full of all these crystals, and so it's a power
Ah,
portal. You can't not awaken when you go live there. Some people go there and it's they don't awaken and they get spun out of that place really quickly. It's interesting. So there we were at this
where is it
place.
again? I feel like this needs to be added to
Uh,
my list.
yeah, Whitianga. Well, it's the whole of the Coromandel Peninsula in New Zealand. It's kind
Mm.
of like if you come to New Zealand, that's where you want to go. That's where all the good beaches are, and the white sand, and the dolphins, and the whales, and it's yeah, just pure magic.
Oh my God,
And so really,
dream.
the nature did heal me. Like it actually, when I look back now, it really brought me into flow. I had no idea what flow was. I was really disconnected from that. And I don't like to say, oh, I wasn't too much in my masculine when I was rushing around, because that's not healthy masculine energy. It's not
Mm.
healthy feminine energy. You're just in your wounded self.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So came to the ocean and you felt the call to start diving into the ocean every day. And so I did. I went in every day of the year, and life kept lifing. So it handed us some more opportunities to remember some other things that needed to be healed. And that's when I was like, okay, I think I might need like a healer or a guide or a someone or something.
Mm.
Um, and so, of course, and so funny, right? She was advertising a course as an abundance course. So this is a little bit about like where my head was still at. I still thought that all my problems were because of money.
Yeah.
So this is like a key piece, right? Because really, and if I look back at the bar and restaurant, I was chasing money for stability. We'd grown up without any money ever. We
Mm.
always moved. And so in my mind, money equaled stability because I'd never had either. So I thought, so it must be money that's going to give me stability and safety in my
Yeah.
world. And so I've, had that experience of not having and then so I was still trying to like feeling like that was all my fault. It was entirely my fault. I was the problem. I had made that happen because I had all these bad issues around money. So I hired this to enroll in this money course, which is not a money course at all. It's she's an angel healer. It's like a one-to-one coaching and channeling and stuff and energy work. And I was just like, oh, this is really different. This is really amazing. This is
Yeah.
interesting. And she was like, Debbie, do you think you might be an empath? And I was like, what's that? Well, the reason that you're feeling all these things in your body is overwhelmed all the time is because you can feel the whole world and you're feeling everybody else's energy and you've taken responsibility energetically for all people and the world. And a
Yeah.
lot of people doing this, like I have a little process that I drop clients into where we always ask the body and is like we take the mind out, drop into the body wisdom and ask them like how much something my one of my coaches taught me is like 0 to 100, how much, so if you're listening to this, try this, how
Yeah.
much responsibility in your body, just take your logical mind completely out of it, are you holding for the earth? Are you holding for all people? And then you can go into the things that you feel responsible for, like your extended family or your even your actual family. And it's the math does not math because it's often 90 something, 80 something, 70 something across all these different areas of her life. And no wonder she's feeling burnt out. No wonder she's not able to receive the
Mm.
juiciness of life, the sacred mundane and the money, right? One sort of they come together. So that was like a bit of a oh, and she was like, I think that you need to learn Reiki. I'm really getting that vibe for you. And I was like, really? I don't have it. I can't do that. I was very much like, I have no magical abilities. I have no intuition. I was so disemboweled. I was like, I someone else to tell me what to do. I sort of like pedestaled and worshipped people with psychic powers, thinking that they somehow had the answers that I couldn't find within myself. So all of these things, again, life gave me all the exact experiences that I needed to keep unhooking and unhooking and unhooking from all of these
Yeah.
places where I was trying to find my own personal power outside of myself, which is, it's really the work of our soul, isn't it? It's what we are here to do. And part of that time frame, I had started painting. Like in my garage, I got some paint. I think one of my Reiki master actually suggested it. She's like, I think you're an artist. I was like, oh yeah, I did go to art school. She's like, oh my gosh, did you? Like, where have you gone? I haven't done any art for like 20 years. She was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then again, we asked the body, she's like, what does your body want to do? And we wrote some different modalities for art on a piece of paper and a big circle went around painting. And I was like, you know what, I did always want to be a painter, but at art
Yeah.
school, I chose photography because it allowed me to create perfect pictures, right? Control freak.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Got you.
Whereas like my soul wanted to paint. And so I started painting like a child with my kid stuff in the garage and finger painting. And I was just like, oh, this is so juicy and delicious for my soul.
Mm.
And something started to happen. Like I had quite bad like anxiety, OCD tendencies, like constantly rearranging the furniture and trying to just like constantly micromanage my environment and everyone in it,
Yeah.
right? And now that we know how like PTSD works, it's like, oh, right. Just
Yeah.
trying to find that order, trying to find some kind of realignment in the external world, which
Mm.
we can only do that inside of our own vessel, our physical body and our energy system. So I went on to learn modalities that supported that as well. But the creative process and returning to creativity was amazing for, depression left, anxiety left, OCD left. I relaxed. Because that is the medicine of the creative process when we're not trying to make art to get a grade to pass at art school or whatever, or to
Yeah.
sell something someone else likes. And we're just actually letting the body express, the opposite of depression is expression, not joy. It's
Yes.
expression. You get the joy later. So that was amazing. Just huge healing, I suppose, for the inner child and all aspects
Mm.
of self. And I started to
Yeah.
be able to hear my higher wisdom, like in that space when I was painting. I was like, I can start to hear like a voice that's a higher self voice, not just the looping thoughts in my mind. So that was such an incredible journey. And then, and I believe this is something that art will do, is that it will heal a brain that's firing off in all different directions, and started
Mm.
channeling like sacred geometry and codes. And I was like, oh, this is interesting and curious. And that's a whole other part of my business that's coming to life. Which I'll talk about maybe
I
later.
love, I mean, there's so much of this that I want to pull on, and I'm like, oh, tell me about sacred geometry and codes. But so I had the pleasure of meeting Debbie recently at the Living Brave Life conference, and she was dressed in these overalls that you painted, hadn't you? And like, because it was a rock star theme, and you make it what you want it to be, and it really did encourage me back into my creative energy again of like, how do I want to dress? How do I want to show up? And I feel like, I mean, if you're watching this on the video, you'll see I'm wearing like head to toe black Lululemon activewear. I've been traveling today, but I realized that like when um I am in that creative energy and I am thinking more about like, oh, what colors, what textures, what like it's so much more exciting for me and I feel so much more me. Whereas today I'm like, I feel like I've time hopped back a little bit into like, let me just dress like a shadow, just be like not seen. And I realized that I did that for quite a lot of my life as well in moments where I wasn't doing super great. So being in this living brave life situation, first of all, like getting to see everyone really express in how they wanted to present themselves for that conference and to really see so much of your energy and so much of your embodiment. And I know that, you say like you are the artist, you are the canvas of your life. It's like you got to really like have that as a visual hook when I saw you. And our coach Shoshana, she does talk about life artistry quite a bit and how as you were saying, you make a picture not because it's got to be perfect or it's got to be create a load of money, but just for the pure joy of creating this art. And when you approach your life, your business, your relationships in this way, it's a space of you can't fuck up your art. So then what do? Then it just gets to be this thing that you really get to enjoy. So I love how you've been on this journey and so much of it, if we really boiled it down, I'm like, yeah, you could be talking about my story too, of this very high functioning codependency, of empathy, of burnout, of being in the wounded masculine into a space where we're so kind of distracted by all of our senses, are so distracted by like numbers in our bank account, how the business is doing, what, whether people like us, what other people are thinking, and we're so busy up here that it distracts us from so much of the deeper wisdom. And as you say, it's like I slow down, I come into my feminine, and then suddenly I've opened up this channel where I can actually feel and hear, and it's like that slowing down and the spaciousness, like, oh, this was what I was chasing. Or like this is what the I wanted. So I loved something that you shared earlier about this new earth idea of actually coming back to love and coming back to your body. So yeah, I'm so like absorbing all of this and just loving this conversation so much already.
Well, that's the perfect segue into the next part of the story, really, which was like, I'm starting to feel quite good now. I've done
Yeah.
Reiki master level. I I was actually already helping people a lot. So I was a doTERRA like consultant, selling the essential oils, and I was very, very good at that. But I was also coaching people for hours and hours and hours for free, right? Because I really loved being able to tap into the emotional parts and really deeply help people. But most of those people just wanted to buy something that would make them feel better and leave, right? And I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
actually is not lighting my fire. Or I'm like, where are the people like me that are like, oh my gosh, I've woken up. There's a whole other life available to me, and what could be possible. Like, where are those people? I was like, I think I want to help them. And I had a photography business at the time. And, my husband's like, why the hell would you want to like stop doing your photography and step into that, whatever that is? And it's just like, once you're on this path, you cannot step off it, right? Nothing's going to take you off that path. So, yeah, I went through a few iterations of trying to kind of launch this business or get going, but I really was still in burnout. I was still in like one foot on the gas, like I'll make a website and I'll launch a thing and I'll get the signs out, so like all the back end stuff that's totally safe. Not really knowing how to sell, promote, or be visible
Yeah.
because ultimately I was still hiding. I wasn't out in the local community that much, all of the things, hiding behind like the oils rather than me, my magic. What do I bring to the table? So
Mm.
that was a whole other journey. And then I saw this coach advertising a business program that was all about the body. And she was speaking, I think, into burnout and something she said in one of the posts around like, you've got all the magic, you've got all the abilities, you're so capable, all the things, but it's just, you're spinning in circles and you're feeling burnt out and you believe something like you believe your body is the problem. I think she used the word body is the problem. And I was like, when you had that moment where you feel so seen and you're like, oh, that's
Yeah.
me. Everything is fine, but I actually don't trust my body. I feel like it's my body's going to collapse. And since that collapse, that was a moment where I did lose trust in my body. I was
Mm.
like, oh, what's going on here? I had really bad vertigo for like, a year and a half. I still hadn't got my energy back. So I was still really tired. I still had a fair bit of pain going on. So I was like, okay, I think this is the lady that's got the medicine for me. And this is Corey Taylor, and now she's the one that has birthed this modality, Kanika, which is something that I use. I was lucky enough to then be one of the first in the first round to learn it as it was birthed here into New Zealand, which works with the bones. Because in her practice and in her magic, like something would happen at such a deep level. Like Reiki is incredible, but we work very far, we're in the energetic realm, and it takes however long it takes to land in the body, depending on whether that person goes and changes the way that they live their life.
Hmm.
Whereas when we work with the bones, we're getting to the deepest layer of a physical matter. And the bones are the crystals of the body, right? So they can transmit and hold light. And they're also like the Akashic records of the body. So, when you crack open a bone and you see all those little marks on the inside, those are like light codes, like language, basically. They hold within that DNA all of the remembrance of all of the stories of our ancestors and everything that we've experienced in this lifetime and others. So
Mm.
every impact that we've had in our life, whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual, psychic, whatever, if we haven't dealt with it, then it'll stay as a little like impact to the bones. And it's just so fascinating that what happens is this is just such a simple process, but we do it in the quantum and Kanika. So it's holding pressure. So you actually put a lot of pressure in where you can feel that lockdown. 3 deep breaths. There's a little bit of magical thing that happens there, and then release, and it literally lets go, and then you can access a new story. So she calls it a sovereignty code, and the reason for that is that in that moment you get to then become the author, the authority of your life and your story, and bring through, a new belief. And because it works so deeply in the body, a new embodiment, you actually feel different, and then you can start to live differently and receive different results. Right. But really, what it does is it brings the spirit back into the matter. So every time, we have a trauma and impact, whether it's stubbing your toe or like going bankrupt and losing your whole your whole life, the body's like it's just a
Yeah.
knock, right? It doesn't really
That'll do
know.
it. Yeah.
So we're full of opportunities to open the body more. That's basically what it is. It's opening, it's letting go of what you're
Mm.
not, opening that flow and allowing more light, more of your own spirit and energy to come back home. And adrenal fatigue is when we're trying to basically outrun our spirit. We're trying
Yeah.
to not be fully here, not be fully present, not be fully at home with ourselves. And
Mm.
that's when we get caught up with the chasing and external factors, right? And we were chatting before about true abundance. That's where this comes in. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with receiving massive amounts of money, but only if you believe that your self-worth is tied into that, or that it's going to offer you something like stability, which is actually your job to find within yourself,
Yes.
then it's not going to come in that way, right? It's all about sovereignty as we
Mm.
move towards this beautiful, well, not moving towards, we're actually embodying it now. That's another kind of lingo shift we need to start making, is that it's already here. And we're just embodying it piece by
Yes,
piece with every great conversation with beautiful lights like you, or every person that we touch with our work. It's all happening all the time, which is so cool.
it is. It is. I love what you share. It's just kind of helping me to ground in different deeper layers of my journey, and so much of it is you kind of you get layers to this, and I kind of think of our patterns and everything as a bit like a software program that you're running, and that could be like code for your bones or whatever it is, but it's the coding that you're running. Now when you see it, it's like, oh, it's just innocent, that's just the programming I was running, but also I don't need to run that anymore, so I can do the bug fixes and I can do the updates and upgrades, and then it's like, oh, now I have access to more storage capacity, or like more ways of doing things. And as you say, like, you can't change and stay the same. So you can't be like, oh, I want to embody this new level version of me who has a 10x business to what I have, or is experiencing a different kind of love to what I'm experiencing, or is healthier than what I'm experiencing, unless I'm fundamentally different, because it's all about like who you're being and what you're coming from there. So having access to spaces that's like, how can I access a different version of myself through this, by releasing some of the, codes that keep you stuck at whatever it is that the spacing that you want to expand beyond, is so powerful. And I'm so curious about this. It's giving me the visual of, when you cut down a tree and you see all the rings and everything, like nature is so intelligent and there's so many signs everywhere, whether it be inside of us or outside us. But when you know how to understand it and decode it, and you know what you want to use it to go towards or to move to, like, how beautiful is that you get to witness
Yeah,
people in that experience and guide people through that.
it's amazing and blows my mind every day. And it's just such a joy, isn't it, when you find that thing that you would do all day, every day for free.
Yes, yes, yes. I feel very much I'm there now. Something I was going to share as well that you mentioned is this idea of like chasing, like, sorry, yeah, running from something or chasing to something and not feeling safe in the body. Because I think I definitely spent a lot of time in this space, and I work with a lot of women who are the same, create safety in the mind. And it's such a
Yes.
distraction because when we can drop into the body, it's almost like, oh, that's actually the fast track. Who knew? But when you create that trust, and instead of thinking like, oh, I'm here, but I wish I was there. Like, I'm on level 1, but I'm only doing this to be on level 10, and I actually don't care about levels 1 to 9. Oh my God, you miss all the magic in the
Yeah.
experience. So yeah, I love this idea of bringing in the artist to this, of being in the journey of, that's going to get you to your level 10, whatever that is, so much more powerfully.
Yes. And why not enjoy and relax into every step of the
Yes.
way?
Yeah.
Like, so, it started working with Corey and the Bones, and then
Yeah.
with roller skating. As you do, you take up roller skating again. You want your inner 12-year-old to have the skates that she always wanted at the age
So
of
fun.
40 something. And I went flying down this hill. My daughter was like, I don't think you should go down that, Mum. I was like, I've done it before. I'll be fine. And I hit a stone. Hit
Oh,
a stone and landed like directly on my tailbone and broke my tailbone. But here's again the interesting thing is, we'd done a lot of work, Corey and I, opening my system, and it was like clearly I was ready to let go of
yeah.
this shame, because it was actually shame that had my whole system locked down from receiving the shame of the failed business, and the shame of like making it mean that it was all my fault and not being a financial success and all of those things. And
Mm,
that's what the tailbone represents, right? And so you know, we will literally tuck our tail up like a dog that's like in shame. So the
yeah.
gift of falling, all of my gifts from the universe have been very painful. So I'd like to call in a little bit of a change for that if possible. um, but yeah, in that moment, it was so interesting. It was actually like this huge wave of euphoria and release and joy as I sat there on the concrete with all this weird energy going up my spine. So it was like
Yeah.
what was trapped in there had been like cracked open. And then within 3 months, we had sold our house, moved back to our hometown here, found our dream home in the country. I launched my coaching business. I had a 45K month from like $0 to, that like it was just all going off because we had repatterned, like the base note was completely different. And I was open to a completely new experience. So that
Mm.
was just mind blowing. I was like, whoa, this stuff really works. Like I knew it really worked, but like when you get those kinds of major
Yeah.
physical shifts, that was amazing. And now that's kind of what I find with my clients. We were just teaching a masterclass all about this kind of stuff last night and looking at some testimonials from the women that came on my last retreat. And so we were watching their video testimonials. And then I just did a little run up on like what's happened for each person since she's been on the retreat. And it's like
Yes.
one's moved across the world and bought a retreat center, which wasn't on her plan, and launched a clothing line. So it's like, wow. Another one's moving out of town. Another one has started showing up in her business, being seen, being visible online, but also moved house and moved into a bigger space. Like there's often so much like repositioning and moving that happens on the physical level and on the earth, right? Because I think it's like,
Mm.
well, we know we're the micro of the macro. So these shifts that we make within our bodies create the same ripple within the earth. What else was there? Yeah, there was just so many like really, really profound ones, but most of them were all over the world. And I was like, that's so interesting and potent. So there was that. So it came back here, and then I was still kind of locked into that old paradigm of like the more money I want to make. Like now the money was flowing, but I was like, if I want to do this, I have to keep working. I was working in the
Mm.
delivery of my business the whole time and just being like, okay, at one point I was like, oh, I'm back up to 80 hours a week. Um, I've created myself a job. I love my job, but I'm still really
Yeah.
tired, really burnt out. This is not what we step into entrepreneurship for. It's not what we stand for. It's not where we're going. So that was a really big journey too. Yeah, to unhook from that paradigm of like I'm not of many of us are shown from society, and it's a societal thing mostly, and actually it's society culture in certain families, so it can come from all directions. But like I'm not the base note belief is I'm not of value unless I am doing, unless I am
Yes.
producing, and unless I am making money for my efforts.
Hmm.
And, and that's a really big one for us to shed because that's the one that has us like constantly like the goalpost
Mm.
or like the mountain just keeps getting higher and I'm never done. And
Yeah.
like I don't even know what it was. It was like a moment in time. Time was the biggest problem for me, right? I felt like it was always limited. I was somehow being controlled by time. And then there was
Yeah.
a moment when asked me this question of just like, I think that was it. Do you control time or does time control you? And where in your body is time? Something like that. And I just went into this and I was like, well, as an artist, I know that sometimes when I am painting a picture, I've been there all day and I didn't catch a single second, like what happened there. And I know that when like I'm doing something that I really don't like, it feels like it goes on forever. And then
Mm.
that was kind of like that lived experience, that understanding of quantum physics, that time is about my experience of time. And I
Yeah.
can completely control that. Oh my gosh. And that kind of just shifted everything. My whole life started slowing down, started opening up. I started discovering that the more space I gave myself, the more that I rested, the more that I relaxed, the more pleasure that I brought into the work that I, didn't necessarily enjoy, your admin and your stuff that you just have to do. Uh, the more I just started enjoying every single part of life and could start to really find joy again like in every little moment. And so you don't go seeking those big highs anymore, and life just becomes kind of like a moving prayer.
Yeah.
And it just makes me want to just breathe out. Um, so that's what happened. And then, and then a lot of deep healing work and unhooking from everywhere that I was holding. That was
Mm.
another big one for everybody else. That was the adrenals coming back to life. Took about 8 years
Yeah.
to get my energy back.
Yeah, and such a powerful shift from going to that space of like force strategy. I have to control everything. I have to hold everything, not just for myself, but for the whole world, right? Into
Yeah.
this space of, the softness that, oh, I want to take a breath with this. I want to be in my body, bring in pleasure, bring in creativity. Is like just such a plot twist for so many women who are led to believe that you need to do the suffer and struggle your way to some earned reward versus
Mm.
like holding the I'm inherently worthy of this and I'm the magnet for this. And when I actually create a landing pad for this, I stop long enough, then the creative downloads come in, then the opportunities magnetize their way to me. But if I'm constantly moving, there's nowhere for it to land. And then I'm exhausted. I've been running around in circles. I'm carrying all this baggage. And when you get to realize like that way of living, my God, tell me about how this has really shifted not just like your energy, but your strategy, your relationships with everything. So how does
Literally
this
with
help you become
everything.
you?
Literally, it literally ripples into every corner of your life, right? And that's the really juicy, juicy part because, I truly believe that healing is just letting go of everything. We're not over and over and over and over and over again. We're constantly just allowing ourselves to reveal. And, it was quite a challenging part, like coming on, like letting my spiritual gifts come online in a family, in a community, in a friend group where they didn't know that version of me. And it's interesting how many stories I wove within my own mind without any external, proof that I
Yeah.
would be judged, that people would think I was crazy, that da, 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 da. So, it's that self-permission has been a really big part of that as well. Realizing that every time I feel like someone else is going to judge me, it's just a mirror of where I'm not fully receiving myself.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
the same time that was all unraveling coming online, and this is the journey to full self-expression, right? And that you're the more safety that we have in our body, the more of that harmonic frequency that we're emitting, the more that we remember our gifts, etc etc. And so what I found is that the more me I became and the more I just chose to love and accept me and and express myself, the more, of course, that was mirrored back to me. And then I know that, and we all know this, but the lived experience of it is different, right? We've got so much to unravel before we do that. But what it's done is it gives everybody else permission to be themselves, to rise into their highest light. So often as women too, we'll be when we're trying to control everything and hold everything, we feel like we've got to kind of tightly control what's going on in the house and what our kids are doing and how our husband's living our life and what the
Yeah.
parents are doing. We've got to hold that all because if we don't, like the whole world's gonna blow up. Like we really truly believe that. And when we release that, and it is really hard to release it for your nearest and dearest ones the most, particularly children, and it's like, but it's my responsibility as my mother. I've got to make sure. But it's like the more freedom I give myself, the more freedom I give them, the more I
Yes.
touch those cords of needing to control, micromanage, and then just like the I was just saying to a client the other day, this is incredible. Like I'm already seeing the what would you call it? I guess the reflection or the ripple of all of the work that I've done in the last few years in my children now. Like, if
Wow.
they don't have half the issues that I had to deal with, what does that open up? And like we said at the start, it's like we came here to be creative. We didn't come here to suffer. And that's what they spend their time doing. It's like my son, and entrepreneurship, for example, my son just well, it's Christmas, and he said, "Can I have some clippers for Christmas?" And we were like, "What do you want clippers for?" It's like, I'm gonna be a barber." And we were like, "Okay, sure, have some clippers." Next minute, he's got a stream of clients coming through the door, and we were like, "Hang on, when did you learn to cut hair?" "Oh, on the internet." Anyway,
Yeah, wow.
15 years old, he went downtown, got himself a job at a barber shop, got fully trained, has business, saved all this money, got a car, and I'm just like, I didn't have to stand there and go, hey, you should try entrepreneurship. You get to be free. You get to do
Mm.
this. Like, here's, come, I'll help you do it. Da, 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 da. Like when you stand back and you let go and you just live the embodiment of freedom, entrepreneurship, and whatever
Yeah.
else, creativity. And because I'm a great one at figuring shit out myself too. I'm self-taught at just about everything.
Yeah, I can
It's
relate to
like,
that. Yeah.
oh, look at that. That's really cool, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I
same
love this.
thing.
And I think when you see other people in their power as well, then they rise in their power. So if it comes from a space of like, oh, and of course, like when they're your babies as well for a certain amount of time, it's like, well, they do need me to do a lot. I do need to have a lot of control over this. But then the more that you can lean out and teach them their own sort of like self advocacy and efficiency and everything, and you see them in their power of like, I know you'll work it out, and if you get it wrong, that's okay. It's like they rise to their own level of power versus otherwise you end up accidentally what happens a lot of the time with people who are like thinking, I need to micromanage every detail and I need to make sure everything's right and I need to control this. What you end up doing is making somebody dependent on you. And then they don't think for themselves, and they're just wait to be told what to do. And then you end up in a situation where you're like, yeah, I actually didn't want that for you. So how beautiful to see that work reflecting out and being like, I hold my own power. I see you in your power. I know you'll do the things that you're meant to do and you'll walk your path. And whatever the universe has lined up for you, you're going to experience it because, even when it's beautiful that for him that's kind of worked out so well. And he's like at such a young age already been like, oh, okay, I get some data that I collected that shows me this can work out and I can trust myself, right? But when I look back on my journey, and maybe I'd love to know your opinion if you look back on yours in this way, it's like even when there has been a lot of stuff where it's like been struggle and it has been hard and I didn't get it right, the universe is nudging me, being like, not that path, girl. Come on, come over here and join the soft girl millions life. And I'm like, no, I want to suffer and struggle my way to success. Right. And then it's like, all right, guys, it's time to pull the rug out. Come on. She's not moving. But I would never like go back and think, oh, I did any of that wrong. Like I would do it all again because I still got so much out of it.
Oh, absolutely. I just took myself through a process at one point because, the loss of the business and the bar, like it was kind of, how you've
Yeah.
always got that one key thing. There's many things that we're working on and that we deal with, right? But it seemed to be the one that
Yeah.
kept coming around with every up level. And one day I just sat down and wrote down like on one side of the page, I think I wrote down like all of the awful things about that experience. And then I wrote all the things that it taught me. And I
Yes.
had about maybe five on the left-hand side with all of this was bad because I lost my money and people
Mm.
thought I was whatever and blah blah. And then I got like 2 pages of all of the things that I learned as a person, as a soul. And I was like, oh wow. And
Mm.
having come to like in the last 6 months have been super powerful for me. Like really, I've been talking about this energy of all in, but maybe not fully grasping it. You know how you've like a concept is dropping, but it hasn't quite landed in your bones yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, um, it was, after investing in myself at a higher level, it was that moment of like really there's no other alternative for me than to make this a success now, right?
Mm.
Um, and that was super powerful. It reinvigorated this identity that I had kind of forgotten about. I think I've got a post on my Instagram called Five Grey Sweaters. You talk about dressing like a shadow, trying to disappear. I used to have like
Yeah.
all grey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like getting this identity back out. I can't remember where I started at the start of this little riff. Where were we going? Bring me back, Katie, or do I just keep
We're
going?
talking about if you could go back and change stuff.
I would go back. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Any of it.
No.
None of
Yeah.
it. None of it at all. No.
Well,
And
I
it's, when you get to those big moments, I think that was the piece is like you look back and you can see exactly why you were working
yes.
you through that and that and that and that and that and that and that. And that
Yeah.
just
Like, of course,
like,
this was a chapter in the book because that's where I got the tools to do this next bit. And
yeah, that's what
I think it comes
makes
back to this
embodied.
point as well of like being here now because I'm so glad that you did that exercise of looking back on it. But sometimes when our mind is so busy and we're in something and it's uncomfortable, we're like, fuck, I just need to do whatever I need to do to get out of it and get there. And then you miss all the stuff that's happening. It's like so much of my story that I carried a lot of shame around. It was only in taking the space and the time to look back on it. And as you say, like, be like, what did I get out of that? What did I learn from that? And I'm like, oh my God, there's so much power here. And you get to rewrite your past through a new lens, where you don't need to carry shame around it anymore. And you get to transform that shame into your power and use that to fuel the next level of your journey, which is just unbelievable. So yeah, if anyone is listening to this and you are going through something right now and you're like, damn, I wish I wasn't at level 2. I want to be at level 10 already. Like, just tune in and be like, what is it that I am actually getting from level 2? Because I guarantee you there is a chapter of your story that you are writing right now that is giving you the tools, the wisdom, the experiences that is going to be of so much service when you do get to those high levels of whatever
Yeah.
game you're playing.
More that we do that, the more we sort of relax into that process and don't get so so freaked out. I think that's it. I think where I was going before, it came back to me while you were speaking, was
Yes.
the key soul lesson was because it was about like I was ch chasing money for stability.
Mm,
Right. And they call the solar plexus the city of jewels. And it's that seat of our inner sun and our personal power. And I think there's a lot of women now reclaiming their solar energy and their masculine energy. What I realized was that when I shut the door on that business, I'd also shut away like my powerful inner masculine
mhm,
with it. And
mm.
so I had this experience after joining the vortex and going, that was my moment of like, I'm claiming this for myself. I'm not asking anyone else's permission. And that went down well. And I'm going to do this for me, for my business, for my clients, for my future, for my family, blah, blah, blah. And then, it was like I had basically my left femur bone felt like it shattered inside my leg. It didn't. There was nothing going on there, but I couldn't walk for an entire month. And it was my lower left leg felt like it just wasn't even connected to the earth, like energetically. This is how my beautiful body, it's such an amazing tuning fork. But it really was inviting me into like looking at every area of my life where I was building even the tiniest of exit strategies, believing that someone else would fix or save me if it didn't work out, kind of thing.
Mm.
So if I fail, I'll be okay. That kind of story, that dangerous complacency of like, I'm all in, but if it doesn't work out, I'll
Yeah.
I had to really go deep through again another layer of that. And where is my internal stability? Am I
Mm.
actually standing on my own 2 feet with my inner masculine holding me? But he was locked in the bar, so I had to go retrieve him and bring him back in. Uh, and my leg came online. It was interesting also with some
Wow.
courageous conversations about me declaring like I'm actually all in on this. And I am, and also redefining your success. So often we'll be like, I'll be a success when. I'll be a success when I'll lose that 5 kilos, and I'll be feel more successful when I've reached this
Yeah.
goal. And it's like, what about if you're a success now, and the most success that you can experience in your life is to be fully in it,
Yes.
fully receiving the whole experience and allowing yourself to feel everything.
Yeah.
Um, like what if that's your success and that is your baseline, then you're moving from overflow, you're moving from personal power, and it's just a
Yeah.
totally vibe, and you can feel that now. And I think people are becoming really attuned to people that are embodied in this and people that are just talking about it and not actually
Yes.
living it. And that's
Yeah.
like where people are just like, oh, I know, I'll own that. And I get that a lot. People are like, I love your energy. And I was like, good, it's cost me a lot of money. I worked really hard.
Yeah,
It
totally.
wasn't always this.
Yeah. It's so true. We can spend so many times when you notice it, you're like, oh, I'm doing that thing where I like add a ton of conditions to the thing that I want to experience. And it's like, oh, what if it was unconditional? What if I could have it now? What if it already is here? What if it doesn't exist in that next person, that next job? And it's sort of like outsourcing my power to everywhere else. What if I insource that and tune into the success that is already here, the love that is already here, the stability that is already here? Then how do I move? And that's where you're back in the game, back in your power. I love this so much. Debbie, I know everyone's going to be obsessed with you. So where do people find you? How can people work with you? What have you got going on?
Thank you so much. You can find me on social media, mostly starting to hang out on Instagram with the cool kids now. So I was on Facebook for a while. So Instagram is Debbie Lim. It's Debbie Lim Creative on Insta, yes. And debbielimcreative.com is my website, which I will endeavor to have updated and finished on the constant work in progress. Yeah, so you can hang out and find me there or just reach out and say hello. I love to chat with people. And what we've got going on at the moment is I have kind of like a home, a hub, a temple of light, if you will, called the Soul Seed Mystic Mind, which is kind of my creative play space for helping the new earth
Mm.
creatrix become her most fully expressed self. So it's a business program, it's a retreat, it's embodiment, it's deep healing work. It's kind of like a full spectrum offer. We have about 4 calls a month where you can choose what you want to tap into, whether it's business mastermind or we call it hot seat healing sessions. So you can have, we can use this amazing Kanika process and open up your body and create new mindsets. And then creative alchemy is my signature embodiment process where we throw around a lot of paint and release a lot of stuck energy from our body. So that's a lot of great fun.
Oh,
Um,
sounds amazing.
so yeah, that's kind of like the home that I've been building over the last few months. It was just a business program, and I just wanted to expand and add in like everything. I've created a lot over the last 3 years, so everything is in there. And that it also now is expanding into kind of like a mystery school. So we're opening up 5D Reiki. So I'm teaching my first round of teachers at the moment, and then we'll be opening up space for people that want to learn Reiki. Like Reiki is always Reiki. Reiki has never changed, but we've changed. We've evolved a lot. People are ready for high level conversations in a different sort of delivery. So that's me being a little Reiki rebel, and super excited about that. Is launching in November. And following on from that will be quantum light coaching certification. So that's how I used my magical skills. Straight away, I went into coaching because I could see that um, there was more transformation available to people than just lying on the healing table and then rolling back into their life and then coming back again and cycling through. So I'm really
Yes.
excited to help healers integrate coaching with their modalities so that they can provide people with deep, lasting transformations. So those are my two like passion projects that are just coming out now. You can work with me one-to-one in soul artistry, it is called, where you get all of my creative magic. So I am a professional photographer of over 20 years as well, and have these amazing personal branding slash rebirth slash become your future self now kind of shoots where we go out into nature in amazing wild spaces and help you step into and become and embody and express that future version of you that's already there. And that also involves, yeah, coaching, channeled artworks, channeled branding as well. I love to do all of those kinds of things. Very multi-passionate, very multi-dimensional. And then we have a retreat coming up at the end of the year called Sacred CEO, which is an embodiment retreat. So my business retreats are all embodiment. There's no laptops, there's no phones, there's no whiteboards, there's no me talking at you on a chair for hours. You literally walk in as one person and you leave as another. Super
Yeah,
cool. All the
I love
magic.
that. And I think in the best ways, but people don't need more information. Like you need transformation, and that doesn't come from being talked at or looking at stuff. It's like, how do you let this land in your body? So it all sounds so wonderful. And yeah, reach out to Debbie if you have any questions or any of that, you want to learn more. And I would love to know as well if you're listening to this and you have some great takeaways from this episode, please do share to your stories or drop us either as a DM because we love to hear what landed for you and how you're going to embody the wisdom that you learned through this experience. And if you're craving more of this magic as well, you are in luck because Debbie and I, alongside a host of other unbelievable women, are coming together to speak at the Queen Energy Leadership Summit. This is going to be a free virtual event for female entrepreneurs happening on October the 17th. So we'll be sharing the codes, the truth, the transmissions for women who are ready to receive. So if you want to learn more about that, head to my Instagram at Katie Rogers Coaching, tap the link in my bio to register, or DM me Queen Summit and I'll send you all the details personally. And if you hit the link in my bio as well, I have an amazing new freebie, which will teach you all about what we unconsciously attract in relationship and how to upgrade and ascend into your next level by rewiring some of this programming. So, this next season, it's all about embodied, unapologetic queen level leadership, and you don't have to rise alone. So, thank you so much, Debbie. I have loved this conversation. It's been such a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, Katie. It's been amazing. Thank you so much.